and welcome to No Boundaries, the podcast, the mother and daughter edition, a podcast in which we, a mother and daughter duo, have honest conversations, discuss controversial topics while also exploring our bond. And as you may be able to see, I am the mother and my name is Anusha.
And I'm the daughter and my name is Lulu. And today is a special day because we have a special guest, our first guest on the podcast, Nayelli, right here.
So excited to be here.
We've been friends since high school, and she was actually my first friend I made when I moved to America. And now we live together, so we have a long past.
Come a long way.
Yep, and now we're here. So recently we discussed free parenting and my experience growing up with parents who were very open and basically let me do whatever I wanted. And now we have the opposite situation over here because Nielli grew up with very strict parents, which she will be telling us all about. And basically we're going to talk about how it affects you to grow up with strict parents who are very controlling, and the effects later on and how that shapes you, and does it work if you're a strict parent?
Okay, more about that later. But first we're going to talk about the new segment we have, and that's our shout out and shame of the week. I'll start with the shout out. So the shout out I have this week, it's the new season of Real Housewives of Atlanta. It's already season 16. I've been an avid...
16?
Yes, 16 seasons. I've always been a big fan of the Real Housewives, especially of Atlanta. I wasn't able to see it in the Netherlands on regular TV. I would stream it or even watch it on certain sites because I was such a fan. And I think especially, African American black women, they really make the culture, seriously. The memes, the one-liners, but the fashion and everything, it's been amazing. And one of the most iconic housewives of Atlanta has always been, to me, Nene Leakes, who I love and adore. Since she left the franchise, I didn't watch a lot anymore. For me, it wasn't the same anymore without her. But I have to say, season 16 is incredible. I mean, the fashion, the looks, the women, the hair, everything is amazing. Already great one-liners, already great iconic moments. And I know a lot of people say but it's just women arguing. And yeah, that's true. There's a lot of pettiness and arguing that you're I don't want that. But there's also another side, which I really want to champion. And that's why it is my shout out. It's incredible women, strong women, a lot of single moms. One is a mother of 4 daughters, who 3 of them even have brittle bone disease, and she works her ass off, is amazingly successful, has her own Waffle House. She's not a professional cook, she just started it herself, and now is branching out into franchises. There's another woman there who is also an entrepreneur who started her own beauty salon, also single mom. So they're such incredible women and also incredible role models for women and especially black women. And also one woman there who's had such a hard time having a child, trying to become pregnant. And had a child for surrogacy, and the child has certain issues, and also talking about how women are treated in hospitals, how different women are treated in hospitals, especially being a black woman. And also the woman whose child has brittle bone disease, the child was almost taken away from her because they thought she was hurting a child, and treated as a black woman who was not treating her child well, as opposed to what is going on. So there's so many layers to the show that I think are not explored. So I want to give that a shout out. I think it's incredible. Plus, of course, the sense of humor, the jokes, the way they read each other. I mean, watch it. I love this season. That's my shout out.
Now we'll get into our shame of the week, which is something we don't enjoy, but we still want to share.
So, our shame of the week is people investing themselves into drama, especially on TikTok. It's something I've seen, especially this week. There's a lot of people making really long videos exposing each other, and then just the audience investing themselves into the drama and commenting mean things, and it's just not their drama.
I don't know, I feel fans get so addicted to watching certain influencers, and they'll literally be in the comments as if they are in this relationship or as if they know this influencer. So influencers, you only know what you see and what they choose to show you, especially with relationships. There's so many people in comments of public relationships that are ready to pray for their downfall, and they're oh, he's not into her, he's doing this, oh, he's definitely doing that. you don't know that. Like,
Yeah.
these people act like they're in the relationship, and I think it's just like, yeah, a waste of time to be so like invested in these people that you only see online. You know?
But it's also entertaining, right? To
Yes.
kind of like live someone
Exactly,
else's drama.
it's entertaining, and I watch the videos
Yeah.
myself. But we're talking about the people that comment as if they are the ones inside of that relationship, and they make like assumptions and stuff in the comments. Like, yeah,
And also just choosing sides and like going to this person and commenting mean things because this
yeah,
person said
it's
this.
the hate
but
for sure.
yeah, it's just I don't know. It's really negative.
Very negative, yeah. And it's weird because it's often the fans that become so negative with these topics. It's very weird. And people are so easy to switch to. Like, one person will make a story time and then everyone's on their side. Then the other person makes a
that's
story time.
amazing.
And then everyone all of a sudden switches and goes to hating the other one. And it's like, my gosh. These are people, you know, these are real people. This is not like a TV show.
Yeah.
This is their life.
We're gonna talk about a topic for today. So we spoke about free parenting, and I just wanted to reiterate because Lulu said I could do basically whatever I wanted. No, that's not true.
Oh,
Just want to make that clear.
I said basically, not completely.
Not completely. I just want to say that as a mother here. But we're so happy to have Nayelli, who's been best friends with Lulu since you guys were
I was 16 or 17
It was
or something.
sophomore year of high school.
sophomore year of high school,
My
and
sophomore
the episode about free parenting did something to you, right?
Yes, because we were discussing it, me and Lulu, and then I was just saying, I was like, well, that's opposite for me because I had to experience the other side of it, but it was also interesting because we became friends,
Exactly.
and then becoming friends kind of changed that a little bit, in a way.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start from the beginning. Tell us about like your family and the way you were like grew up and
Okay.
stuff.
So I was raised up until I was 5 years old by my parents. Then they split, but then my mom had to come to the United States because she had to escape a lot of negative things. And then I had to stay with my dad up until I was 12 years old, and then that's when I came to the United States with my mother. So my whole life I had either one parent or the other. I was raised in Honduras, and then so yeah, I had to, you know, be with one parent or the other, and then they were both really strict. So that's like one of the things that didn't change. And I would say like the thing that made that a little harder is like in Honduras, a parent being strict is a way of protecting you, and it's proper up to an extent because you also have parents that overdo it, and it's like a power thing. But then coming here, it's like a whole different world, and it's more safe in certain ways. And then growing up with like a strict parent kind of made it difficult because I would see all my friends do things and like go out and then do this and that. And
In
then
Honduras.
here,
Oh, okay.
in Honduras, yeah, because I was saying in Honduras,
Yeah.
it's understandable
Yeah.
to have a strict parent because over there it's really dangerous. But over here, it was hard because all my friends would do things and I couldn't really do things because I had a strict parent. So I would always like have FOMO and like miss out and be like, oh, I hate it here. Yeah.
And were you able to talk to your parents about why they were strict when you moved here? How, because you hadn't seen your mom for a while. How were the
Yeah.
conversations between you and your mom about, okay, now you're my daughter, now you're living with me?
I mean, it was a whole. There weren't many conversations. It was just a way of like
Ways,
adjusting to now having a mom again. But I'm older, and she hasn't been around her daughter for long.
Yeah.
I haven't been around my mother, so it was just like adjusting to each other in a way. But when I first came here, I lived in Long Island, so it was understandable as to why I couldn't really like go out and stuff. Then we moved to the city a couple of years later. But it was like kind of the same thing, except like here you can get around anywhere, like by the train, by the bus, and it's a different like culture, I would say, because people get to go to school, you have outside lunch, and you get to do things and be like more independent.
Independent.
So young.
Yeah, you don't have to depend on like driving a car,
At
which
all.
you can't do when you're
Yeah.
a kid.
Yeah. So there were conversations. It was more of like, I respect you and you're my mom and I have to listen to you. So this is the way it is. Yeah.
So up until you moved to like New York, you never questioned her being strict.
No, I mean, it was more of like a thing where I would be a little upset about it, and I would also, a lot of the times, I wouldn't really even ask for permission to do things because I would have anxiety asking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then one of the things that like I would say, have you ever watched like on TikTok? I don't know if you guys have watched videos where it's like when your parents are laughing, so that's your way to ask for permission to go out. Like I would do that.
You like wait
in a good mood.
Yeah, you wait if you're in a good mood.
Yeah, and then that would be the time for me to be like, hey, so my friends are going out this weekend. Can I like go out? Yeah, so that's something I thought about that was really funny. Like now it's funny to look back because I would do that too. But yeah, it would just be a lot of anxiety around asking to do things and go out because I was scared the answer was going to be no, and a lot of the times it would be no. So
yeah. Okay, so we went to the same high school in New York, but she already was in high school 2 years before I came. 2 years.
Yeah.
And our high school is a public high school in the city. It's very like people are very outgoing, very independent, and very like let's say like not innocent. Like people do everything you could think of over there. So yeah, the school is very a lot for somebody who probably grew up with like strict parents and didn't experience any of those things.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm just curious because you spent 2 years there knowing that these people have all this freedom and you don't. But then it didn't change until you met me.
Yeah.
So I was wondering like how is that different when you met me versus when you were meeting all these other people? Like what was the turning point?
For me, it would be like I had friends those first 2 years. And a lot of the time I was just like playing soccer. I was on a soccer team since I was a freshman. So that's kind of what I would do, and I would just go home after practice because I couldn't go home past a certain time. So, but I had friendships. It's just they weren't really like friendships that I bonded really well with. I was just like they were like my lunch friends, and it was like a group. And I didn't feel like myself in the group. It was just one of those things where it's like I'm just gonna hang out with these people because I don't want to be alone. So that didn't really like. And they would do things, but at the time they would do things that I thought were so wrong because I was taught they were so wrong.
Oh, so you actually like thought these were wrong as well?
Yeah.
And like what?
Yeah. What?
Like they would like drink and they would like sneak like drink sometimes, and they would hit the rapes and they would do things, and I would be like, oh my god, that's so bad. Like, so because I grew up with that, which is like they are at that age. But I feel like it's just things that every kid growing up experiences as part of like growing up and being a teenager. So I didn't really have like friendships where I could like go to their house or felt that close to them. And then when you came in, we kind of did get close really fast, and it was different. Where we would hang out and you would come over and I would come over. So I think that was like the biggest difference.
Just like hanging out outside of school.
Yeah. And another thing I would say is like with these friendships, their parents weren't really involved, and then I feel like with you, your parents are really involved in your relationship. So I also got to see that side, and that also like it taught me a lot.
It's one thing to see like someone your age being independent, but it's another thing to see their family and that their family's actually cool with it and supportive. Yeah. Like I remember the first time you came to eat dinner with us. Or at our house, you were like so surprised that we like all sit at a table and eat dinner, and you thought it was like something we did because like you were here or something. And I was like, no, we do this every night because my family, we eat dinner every night at the table as a family, and that's like we didn't know that's like rare in New York. Like most people, they just eat food in their room or like make their own food or whatever.
Yeah, and about that eating in your room, it's not because your parents don't want to eat with you. Does it also have to do with scheduling and work?
My parents worked a lot. They still do. So it would have to do with that mainly. They would come home like after dinner sometimes and things like that. And like they would be tired. They would just want to like sit on the couch and just like, you know what I mean? Like they can
watch
TV
with
each other, watch TV. And then I would say like it was like a separate world where the parents were the parents and the kids were the kids, and then that meant like if I'm hungry, I'm gonna go grab something to eat and I'm gonna go back to my room because that's also my safe space. So it was that.
You were saying how your friends were doing things that you thought were wrong, and I feel like I was that times 10. So how was that? Like how come with me you didn't feel like these things were wrong and you actually felt like, oh, maybe I actually want to go more out and experience more things. Like,
times 10? Can you please? No,
not times 10 with like necessarily drinking or, more as in like I'm
feel
very honest, I'm very
open about it,
open-minded, very vocal about that, and I like to like go out and experience the world.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it took conversations because in the beginning, like the first year that we met, you were more chill, and I think that was because we had conversations, and I was like, yeah, I would never drink. I would never get it.
I remember you saying
so
that.
I think I kind of like had that like effect where like you wouldn't really be as open with like going out and like doing things because you knew I probably wasn't gonna be down for it. But no, I would say it took like conversations with you, and like I feel like I also like learned a lot, and I learned like certain things are okay. Like it's okay to be a teenager, and it's okay to do things. And then I started doing things with you, and then I was just like, okay, this is like not bad. Like this is part of like growing up. But it wasn't until like we were 18. I was 18 that we started like actually like going out and doing stuff. And the way I would make that happen is I would. My parents got comfortable with you. They met you. I think I met you. So like they knew you guys were a good family and stuff like that. I don't think they knew that you guys were so
Free
open.
parenting.
So I would be allowed to come sleep over on the weekends.
Yeah.
Certain weekends, not.
And
every
I remember
weekend.
the first part of friendship was always me being at your house.
Yeah.
Like I was always at her house. So I think that kind of made your parents feel more comfortable.
Because they were like, okay, they're just home doing nothing. So
Yeah.
they're gonna be home doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then I would come sleep over here, and then that's when we started like going out and like meeting new people, or like it was a whole different world
friends,
for me. Making friends,
And also to be clear, because going out, I mean, until 21, there's not allowed a lot to go out, right? So I know you. Yeah. So but did you guys have like fake IDs I didn't even know about, or because I remember there were also parties for like minors, right?
Yeah, 18-year-olds plus and this plus, and a lot of the time, I think we would just convince people to let us in.
Most parties we literally would either go with a group of guys who knew people and they would get us in, or we would just like give a little nice look at the bouncer and he would let us in.
So yeah, I do want to reiterate, growing up in the Netherlands, it's really, really different, and going out is different from a much younger age. When I was a teenager, but even when you were a teenager, in the Netherlands at 18, you're allowed to vote, you're allowed to drink, you're allowed to drive a car. So for me, it was sort of like at 18, I don't agree with 21. Yeah, maybe that's really weird, but I just don't. I think at 18, you should take risks, especially because you're also still living at home, and I can still kind of monitor. We can still kind of like, help out. I'd rather have that than at 21, you're away, college, I don't know where you are, what you're doing, and you're going crazy. So to me, it was very important for my children to kind of experiment before they leave.
And she doesn't need a fake ID anymore, so.
Not anymore.
I'm 21 now, guys.
She had a fake ID, allegedly.
Allegedly. This is all alleged.
April Fools. Okay, so basically, you grew up with like strict mom. Basically, your mom was mainly the strict one.
Yeah.
So give us like examples of like what do you mean when you say strict mom, so that we can understand like,
So when I say strict mom, it was mainly like hanging out. Like for example, I couldn't go home past 7, or like when it started getting dark. And it was just like I would be able to do things, but like once in a while. Like it could never be a like 2-weekend thing at all. Like it would be one weekend, yes, maybe the next weekend, no, but then maybe the next weekend, yes. So it was mainly like that, and I feel like when you're at that age, you kind of want to explore and you want to go hang out with your friends, and that's like, I think that's important. You have to socialize and you have to, talk to people. You don't want to be in your room all day. I don't think that's a good thing. And I also, I don't know, I think it's important for kids, teenagers growing up to just get out there in the real world, because that prepares you later on. Because I would say for me, like, a lot of the things that I did socialize, but I didn't like socialize a lot. So there would be a lot of things, even like now, that I like I get anxious about like doing, because I feel like I didn't have like that practice, that experience growing up. And like even like with making new friends, like I'm very you know how I am. I'm very like, I'm a little shy, and I'm like really weird around the topic of like making friends. And it's not because I don't want to make friends, but it's more like It's
You
hard
never
to
learned that.
yeah.
Like if you didn't learn at a
yeah.
young age, then it's super hard to
It's-
do that when you're already
yeah.
a grown adult.
So I would say
Yeah.
like that's one of the things that affects you when you're like growing up, and then you're mainly in your house, in your own space, in your room, and you're like in the computer and the phone, which I think damages you more than being outside and talking to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like you're consuming a lot of like screen time and social media and things like that, and your social media there's a lot going on there, a lot of like negativity, and you're just like in this whole new world, especially like being a teenager and just seeing things. I feel like I didn't have the time to just do things and be outside and you know, be a teenager in a way, because I was home most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Or doing chores for your mom.
Yeah.
And I feel like, it's like you said, it's so important for people to go out and socialize and to learn. Like when we say like going out, we don't just mean partying and drinking, guys. There's more to life than that.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
As hard as it sounds coming from me, but we mean going out as well as just like going, like meeting friends, going to events, going to museum, going thrifting, going shopping. Like even with those things, her mom was very strict. Like it wasn't just with partying or boys. And I feel like when I met you, you obviously started coming out of your shell, and we would like go out and explore, especially because I get bored easily, and we would go out. And even if she was just at home, I would just be like, get up, we're gonna go somewhere, because I did not like being in the house for too long.
Even if it was to like a Chick-fil-A.
Literally, we would, because it was like a 10-block walk, which is like 15 to 16 minutes. So we would just do that, just to get out the house, and feel less guilty about consuming the calories. But but your sister was always like on her phone, and she was always just in bed on her phone, and I feel like she was also always awake. Like she was never sleeping, because I feel like you don't get as tired because you're just laying in bed all day. And she was just every time I would see her, it just would make me sad. And I feel like before that, you probably experienced the same kind of weekend. Like your weekend would just be you laying in bed on your phone, doing nothing. And I'm like wondering, like, do you think like your mom, it doesn't make her sad seeing this, or she generally is like feels happy that at least she's in the house? Like, it doesn't make your mom sad to see that she's not socializing or anything?
I think that maybe yes, but I feel like a lot of like Hispanic parents, they want to protect their kids, and they think that they are doing the right thing by doing these things, which it comes from like a good place, but it's just, I don't think that they realize the effects of that, and a lot of the times they can be negative, especially mentally. This is really bad for you. You should not be in your room and your phone for hours, for days, late at night. Like it's not good. And I think that maybe yes, but it would also just be like, what's the word? It would be contradicted by, I'm doing this to protect my child. So I think it was like a 50-50 thing.
If I can speak on that also, because I can also imagine, if I just look at my mom, like also immigrant parents, different generation, I can imagine that your mom was like, listen, I had to go through this to get here. So my children being safe in their room, having a mobile phone, having internet, that's such a
luxury. Like, I wish I had that.
Right? A great step. So you don't even, because even me hearing, wow, you're on this whole world, social media, not growing up with that, that's, you don't even think. Of course you're here, but it's like an abstract thing. For me, the danger of social media is still kind of abstract, right? Because what I get from social media is just fun, and then I put it away. So I can imagine for your mom the same. Like, they have a great apartment, they have their own room, nice bed, a phone, great.
You're fed.
That's not what I had.
Exactly. I would say now that I'm an adult and that I have a relationship with my mom where we talk about things more than we did back when I was like growing up, I know where it's coming from, and then now that I get to hear the way she grew up and understand it, I would say that it comes from that place that my mom had to grow up basically by herself. She had to take care of herself when she was 12, like she was thrown out of the house. And then you know, and then she met my
first kid.
She
at
met my
16.
dad. She had a kid really young, my brother, my oldest brother, 16 years old. And yeah, she was just thrown into the world in a really dangerous country. And she got to see a lot of things that a teenager shouldn't have seen. And I think that also plays a role into how protective she is, because she doesn't want her daughters to go through this
Or see those
or
things.
experience these things. So I know now that it comes from a place of, you know, just protecting, and I don't want this to happen to my child. Like I saw it happen to other people or it happened to me. But that's
growing up, you didn't see that at all. Like growing up, you felt like she was just being strict just to be strict.
yeah.
or-
And I feel like because when you're young, you don't see outside of I want to do this and I want to have fun and this. I think that it could have been handled better.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause I
But
think
she was probably also protecting you, right? So she didn't want to maybe burden you at 12, 13.
Exactly.
Listen, I went through...
yeah, exactly. So now I understand it, and it also taught me a lot. Like I feel like if or when I'm a mother in the future, then like I know how to go about parenting. So yeah, I did learn a lot, but that is like kind of the debate today. Like, does strict parenting work? I would say no, it doesn't work. Because one of the things that I would also do is because I didn't have, you know, the space and I wasn't allowed to do certain things when I at the time and I was being sneaky about it and I was lying to them. I went overboard. And I would say like one of the things is like with the drinking. Whenever we would go out, like I would drink a lot because that would be the only time I was allowed to drink.
Alright everyone, so this episode specifically got into a very long and deep conversation, and we found it important to share all of the details of this conversation, or as many as we can, which is why we've decided to split it into 2 parts. So the first part, we just learned about Nayelli's childhood and controlling parents growing up. And stay tuned, because next week you're going to hear about how it affected her as an adult, and how did she get out of this toxic cycle with her parents and finally like got away from all of it, and how it also affects like her life now and her friendships and relationships. So
Yeah.
stay tuned for that, and she's also going to give advice. So yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Please subscribe, like, as independent podcast makers. And as always, I want to say I love you, I love me, and we love y'all.